Hey guys, little guy again today. Semogue 1438 extra grade boar hair. Haven't used it too many times. This is the actual second time that I've used it. However, I have done a bunch of test lathers and long soaks and things like that with it. So I've kind of accelerated it in my my app, and what you'll see in the description of the video, to something like 7 uses or something like that, because I'd like to bring him up to the 18 or so uses that I currently have with the Boar brushes that I have in my rotation, my Boarathon, where I'm comparing them all. And so I'm kind of accelerating this guy a little bit. He's been soaking for quite a while, and we're going to use the Feather AS-D2 again. I used it, and then somebody else posted on YouTube that they get good results from PolSilver, and I was originally going to just try a feather blade on it one more time because I know that I enjoy the feathers in this razor. They're just made for it. It's just a wonderful shave, and so this is going to be the 20th shave, it looks like, roughly, for this blade. Is that here's how the blade looks. And then I put an X on this one because I am going to marathon this guy. So if I ever get to 100 shaves with it, and you're looking back on this video because you're curious how the shaves were early on, this is a little verification there. You know, one of the questions I'm thinking about is using a 20-use blade relevant for you guys, because many of you guys don't do that. Nothing wrong with it. To me it is, because if it may not be a great a relevant shave for some of you guys who just stick with a young blade, just a few uses and then you throw it away, but for me it's very relevant, because if it shaves well with the first couple of uses, that's fine. But if it takes a nosedive and it's not a good combination, say at 20 uses, like right now, then I'm probably not interested in keeping the razor around if I have to use it only with really young blades like that. Because sometimes that might not be a problem, but I've got a bunch of other razors, and a lot of them work just fine at the higher counts. And so that's the thing. All right. Today's soap is a long time coming in a way, because I've been using the Tuscany aftershave balm for a long time. A few months, they sent me a sample of Tuscany when I had a Stirling order, and I just found out I really enjoyed it. It's a smooth, almost sweeter kind of balm. It's you know, it's not really one that I might want to wear out and around necessarily, because I might choose a more cologne type thing for that. But I just find that I enjoy it. It's got a little bit of spice to it. It's got a little bit of floral to it via, I think, the either violet or something else like that. Not one of the rosy kind of florals. And then it's also got bergamot, a little bit of orange citrus. And those three elements, the spice, the citrus, and the floral, all combine to almost give it a wild cherry or spicy cherry kind of scent, which totally mystified me, because I sincerely thought that it was a cherry type scent. And then I go to read about it, and I discover that it's a floral, a spice, and a citrus. So here's the Tuscany Sample. I went ahead and finally ordered. This is how their samples come, and this generally will last somebody about a month of shaves for just a little bit over $3. And so I think it's a great way to go to try out stuff from Stirling. Highly recommend Stirling. All right, now I've got to find, here we go. I just peeled back a little bit right there. Now I know, based on the last sample that I did, that 1/4 teaspoon of Stirling is usually going to give me, you know, 6 passes of lather. I don't need that, so let's not quite fill up the 1/4 teaspoon, that much. I've already loaded the blade. I like to do that before I mess with the sample, because then my fingers are dry. Don't mess with, I don't you know, get any deposits on the blade or anything. So today I'll be using the soap that matches the balm that I've been enjoying for so long. And it's really funny, I got the soap in and I didn't actually try it for quite a while. And then part of the reason was it was a known thing. I knew that I was probably going to enjoy it. And so I had some others that were unknowns, and I guess that's just my personality. Often I would rather try out the unknown than go for something known, which is really funny, because when I go to one of my favorite restaurants in South Carolina, I get pretty much the same thing every time. I don't experiment with the unknowns. Or I go to the Waffle House, I always get waffles and hash browns and sausage and stuff. I always get that same thing instead of expanding. Now, and that's because I guess that's because I just don't do that very much. If I start going to a place a lot, then I'll start branching out. Anyway, we don't need to talk about that. I think we're good. Let's prep my face with a little bit of water. So a recent commenter said that I had not prepped I had not put on water before I put on my lather. And I replied back saying that, yeah, I pretty much always do that. So it's possible that I did it on that particular video. I did it off camera during a cutaway. It's also possible that I forgot to do that. I think I forgot to do it maybe once or twice in 3 years. So it's possible that he landed on that one. But yes, I splashed my face with water before starting the lather, just to act as a to start to hydrate my skin and my hair, bristle, my stubble. And then before I put on the lather for the first pass, I'd splash water on my face again. So I definitely do that. All right, so nothing left here but to do that. And I'm gonna get my brush nice and wet so that I can then shake off most of the water. But I do want a certain level of water in there. Now, we do know from Stirling that you can start off with water in the brush. It doesn't mind that at all. So this is the computer printed, 3D printed lather bowl. There's a link in the description there if you have access to a 3D printer and want to print your own. This is the extra large version of the different files that are in there. There are third-party services you can use. I've heard MakeXYZ.com has given some users some good service, so I can only speak to that one. I have not actually used one of those services yet. I forgot, I did look to see how many passes I had gotten on a previous shave with a 1/4 teaspoon of water, but I forgot to note how many teaspoons of water I used. So we'll just kind of go by eye. I went ahead and put in 2 right now because I'm pretty confident that I need that much or more. This is a small brush, this 1438. It is, let's see, here's kind of an average looking brush, slightly larger than average handle, 24 millimeter knot, or maybe even 22, this one. But it's nice and ergonomic and gives you a kind of a size comparison. Here is a kind of a normal sized shave Mac brush. So it's a little small. The handle's a little shorter than, it might be my shortest handle by far. And this little groove here is a good hold until it gets wet, until it gets soapy. and then this little handle gets to be a bit of a chore to hold on to. So if I end up liking this knot, then this is definitely a candidate for finding a new handle. Unless I just happen to want to use this brush as a travel brush or something like that. So the first time I used this brush, I enjoyed the backbone, kind of medium backbone, maybe a touch higher than medium, but it kept its splay. It wasn't hard to splay. A lot of brushes that have higher backbone than about medium will be too hard to splay, too much effort for me. And in addition, they kind of push my skin around instead of flowing over the skin. A lot of the synthetics do that to me. Yeah, see, 2 teaspoons of water is not too much for this guy, because we're looking good. That's not watery at all. That's interesting. I am getting a slightly different note than the balm, which is normal because each different type of medium to hold a scent masks a different part of it. A balm versus a soap. Some of the perfumers really don't like shaving soaps because it's such a hard medium, and I was just reading about this yesterday. It's just such a hard medium to put a scent in. So many of the elements get hidden by the soap base smell itself. Many of the nuances are lost, but you know, that's all right. We still have plenty of good smelling shaving soaps. I'm going to put another ½ teaspoon in. At this point, I know I'm pretty close, so I'm not going to put in large amounts. I like that syringe because it lets me put in a couple of drops at a time, which is sometimes what I have to do to the brush directly if I'm in the middle of the shave, or I can put in a whole ½ teaspoon at a time, or even obviously like I did at the beginning, 2 teaspoons at a time. It makes it pretty easy. Let's take a look here. We're getting close. Look at that. That's what I'm talking about right there. That could just be a wet spot, so let's make sure we get that mixed up well. There we go. That looks terrific. So let's see how I enjoy this as a soap. I know I enjoy it as a balm, and of course I'll be using my balm as the post shave. You want face wet again? This is kind of a small knot, so I'm not going to be surprised if I kind of have to go back and get some more lather. Really happy with the tips. The backbone here is working nicely with the tips. You know what? It feels like a denser brush than it probably is. Go back and get a little bit more lather for this side of the world. You know, there are definitely some soap scents that are quite strong that I enjoy during the shave, but I don't want to smell for hours after the shave. I wonder if there are any scents that I enjoy in the reverse, where I like the post shave, but I am not a fan of it during the soap phase. So look at that, we've got some nice lather here. Some people take it even wetter than this. and have it flying off their face. I could probably go a little wetter, but this is pretty much perfect. Nice, luxurious feel. I'm very happy with that. So, as of the start here, I have 2.5 teaspoons of water in this particular lather. So, PolSilver, 20 uses. Let's see how it treats my face with a feather. Of course, remember, if it shaves me well, it may not work quite the same way for you. People's faces are just different. There's so many variables at play. A little bit of blade feel, but very nice. Feels good. Gentle touch as always. Very light. I try to keep it as light as I can while still touching the skin. There we go. Unshaveable area down here, and rinse. All right, second pass. Let's kind of push the brush down into the lather to get it all up in the bristles. A good looking lather. The scent is not strong. I know I'm going to have extra, so when I use it, this really does feel like kind of a dense brush. How about that? And I'm enjoying the tips. Scrubby, but not scratchy at all. Very comfortable. This brush is kind of taking me by surprise. All right, second pass, cross grain. So this feather is generally giving me a very good, comfortable shave. And what I mean is a comfortable shave that's very comfortable. Where it sometimes can lack is the closeness, not quite being up to standard, because it is a mild razor. So it's one of those things where it feels really good during the shave. And indeed, if you like comfort, then a mild razor like this is going to be a very good choice for you. Very good option. The Gillette Tech is a vintage razor that is also very comfortable, probably a little bit more, slightly more aggressive than this, but not aggressive at all by any means. It's just this is smoother, but the Tech always gives me a better shave because of that slight lack of extreme mildness. And rinse. All right, so now the final pass, and it looks like maybe in terms of using a sample from Stirling, you know, that little bit that I left out of the 1/4 teaspoon. looks like about right, because here with this brush, this young, it seems like it's not really holding tons of lather right away, and so I go back in to get some more for the other side. And there we go. And so this is the extra we have left, and that's a pretty good margin. I like that pretty well. So the touch less than that 1/4 teaspoon measure is about right for a Stirling. I could go less if I wanted to, but $3 for a month of shaving with a great performing soap, that's a good value. Third pass. I continue to hold the razor lightly, and I hold it kind of in a central area so that the razor itself can flex. And that helps to keep that light touch. And sometimes you will use such a light touch, and you'll use it long enough that that one day you discover that you had this amazing shave and you didn't even kind of see it coming because it was so natural and light. Really interested to look at the results. In my neck area there after the shave to see how close this guy actually got. I believe it's the Nasset blade and the feather. I believe the Gillette 7 o'clock black were all good blades for this razor for me. Still some length left right there. So let's just going to grab a little bit from my bowl. Come at that again. Yeah, there's still some length left on some tips, but it's generally a good shave. This is kind of standard with what Feather has been giving me. The Feather razor, all during the testing here. For most of the blades, it's given me terrific comfort, nice close shaves on my cheek and over here. But then in my kind of the trouble spot where the hairs just plague me across the board with about any razor and blade, they, oh hey, nicked myself a little right there. That's rare. Just wasn't careful, I guess. And but yeah, I definitely see some length and a good many tips there. So it looks like the PolSilver for me, not that great, not as good as some of the other ones I just mentioned. And that's just for me, that's subjective. It could possibly be really good for you. If you can go against the grain, it could be totally different for you. The Feather razor here is very mild, but if you can go against the grain, then I'd say all across, a lot of guys are going to be able to have good shaves with it. I just can't. Too much irritation for me. All right, rinse off. Regarding scent strength, a lot of the soaps that I've used that have been a little stronger, often I don't choose the smooth scents. And so I think they travel a little better around in the air and allow me to experience them a little better during the shave. This one is so smooth that I It was very light during the shave. I think I'm picking up a little bit more of that floral note. And so it's not quite as sweet as the balm. But mainly it's that scent strength. I'm not really getting it very strong. It's just very light during the shave. And I guess it works out because I don't think I like the way the scent is coming across in the lather form. Now when I get this right up in my nose, I smell the traces of what I enjoy about the balm there. Now the aftershave is going to be stronger. So if you like this scent in the balm but want it a little stronger, then the alcohol splash is going to be going to give you more intensity. But another great lather by Stirling. That one has a little pitting and stuff, but it was smooth, it was creamy in between the passes, felt wonderful, felt luxurious. It's a beef tallow soap like most of Stirling's offerings. They do have mutton tallow in a few of the offerings, but it's just a really nice lather and inexpensive as well. I calculated, and if you like wet lathers like me, and you don't overload your brush, a tub of Stirling can last you a year. How about that? Crazy, huh? And here's how this little guy looks after a strop on the towel. Good backbone, plenty of spring back into position. Gradually starting to open up a little bit more. Maybe in a couple of weeks, I won't have to do a double dip to get enough lather for each side. And pretty good. Happy with this little guy. I think I like the cool look too. That's actually kind of why I bought him. I just like it's very classic looking shape, almost like it's honoring past traditions and that sort of thing. A little bit of style to him, but so I'm glad I picked him up now, especially once I have felt the knot, the way it feels on my face. Just it feels dense, but it's not dense. It's easily nice, easy flow through, that sort of thing. So continued to go fine with the water that we had. So 2½ teaspoons is what was needed there. A little bit less than 1/4 teaspoon of soap. And if you're having trouble with your lathers, then those measurements might be a good place to start, just to see. That might be close enough to get you in a good spot for you to then work out what your lather, how you like it personally, you know, that sort of thing. All right, well, oh, hey, let's do that balm. So here's that Tuscany balm that I've used many times. This is a day shave. I'm looking at half a day more than usual between beard growths, but as you can see, the wasn't a problem for the razor. My little weeper stopped bleeding there. I did sprinkle a little bit of water on my face to help this balm to be more easily spreadable without as much friction on my face, generate less irritation. And I don't feel any irritation at all. It seems like I had to change directions on this little zone right here. I was pretty constantly getting a little bit of irritation there, and I believe I was my stroke was going from here, moving up this way to kind of cover that area, and I think that was wrong. And so I started, because I think that was almost directly against the grain, and so I started from a little bit closer to the center of my throat, and then I moved away like up toward my earlobe, and that made it more of a cross grain right there. So my comfort has increased dramatically. I think I've gotten some success there. The only trouble is I've had years now of doing it a certain way. I think I'm starting to remember it though, as I'm shaving nowadays. I've made that mistake enough. So yeah, good closeness on my face, no problem there. But several hairs in this area do have some length on them. It's possible that a PolSilver with just 1 or 2 uses would give me a better performance and easier cut, but I don't think we're going to try that out. I think I'm going to use the a feather blade on this feather razor next and just enjoy that bliss, because it's a really good combination. Maybe a few times before I pass this feather razor on to somebody else. All right, now loving that Tuscany scent. It's not candy-like, but it's a spicy fruity. It turns out I just kind of enjoyed it. I wouldn't have seen it, wouldn't have if I would have looked at it in the catalog, I wouldn't have picked it out. But I just had a sample, tried it out, and I just like it. It's the way things go sometimes. All right, well, I'm smelling good. Face feels great, no irritation at all. Yeah, the PolSilver did really well in most areas of my face, and that's at 20 uses. So it's going to be even better with a younger one. I find that when I marathon blades, those first 20 or 30 uses I can enjoy just about any blade with a mild razor. But then after it gets to 30 or 40 uses, I have to start changing the razor, putting it in a more aggressive setting, a more aggressive, slightly more aggressive base plate, more aggressive razor, and because the geometry, I guess, of the blade, their edge, requires it. That's the way it goes. It's still giving me comfortable shaves, just has to be in a higher razor, more aggressive razor. Well, let's see. I think we're good. I think we covered everything. Continuing to enjoy this little brush, kind of surprising. I am surprised that the Tuscany soap just didn't quite have enough scent strength for me, so I'm glad I ordered the sample. It's a mild one, and so I think that's going to be definitely geared towards somebody out there who is into the mild soaps, maybe because of skin sensitivity issues or nose issues or whatever. I think it might be a really good soap for them. And of course, it's in Stirling's base, which is a great performer. So we're good. So we have in the future, I have a sample of Stirling Haverford, but next I think I'll do a different make or a different model. I think I might like to get into some of the European stuff I got from Connaught Shaving lately. Some Vitos, I got some Panna Crema. Dang it, Nueva Rosa. I can't remember the Nuvia. So anyway, I'm sorry. I'm drawing a blank at this point exactly how to pronounce it. But I got the Rosa. I tried the blue before, and it didn't quite work for me. And I thought, the Rosa I think might have a sandalwood nature to it. So I'm going to try that out pretty soon. In addition to some Wickham 1912 scents. I've got 2 scents there that I'm going to try from that one. I was also given a tube of Palmolive Cream, pretty inexpensive cream, available I think over in Europe pretty easily, and by a generous online friend, and so I'll be trying that out at some point too. He's the one who gave me the Haven sample from Fit Jar, cream sample, and I really enjoyed that one. And so he sent along some cream too, because it's pretty inexpensive, and I haven't yet tried it. So he was generous about that. So we'll bring that out. All right. Well, there we go. This is Sugar Daddy Shaves. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope there was something here for you that it's helping you out. You take care and have a good day.